everyone. So for those of you who are online, I wanted to do another screen recording of me going over the basics of Puritan literature in America and really going over the Puritan belief system and what they valued during that time period. Again, I think it's important for you to hear me explain certain things because it'll clarify any confusion, and I'll also stress the really important things that you should focus on. The slides are pretty lengthy for this one. We are only going to be going up to the authors for this presentation, and then I'll create a different screen recording of me going over the authors. However, for this one, with the lengthy slides, I won't necessarily go over every point. I would like you to read those on your own. However, I will go over the things that I think are most important on each slide. There are also questions within this presentation. You do not need to answer those per se in a discussion board or for a grade. When I do get to that slide, I would like you to pause the video, think about your answer, and then proceed with the video. These are just thinking questions to get you, or to get your background knowledge kind of going. So you can reflect on things that you've learned about Puritans or things you can guess about their beliefs or their way of life and their system. So we'll go on to the next slide here. Oh man, I'm having issues with this again. There we go. So again, pause this video and really reflect on what do you know about the Puritans? What have you learned or heard about Puritan culture? Think about it from what you've learned in history classes, any different stories you might have read about Puritans. Just think about your different background knowledge that you have on Puritans and their culture. Again, pause the video, think about it, maybe write down a few things, and then you can continue on with the video. So the Puritans, by definition, they were a group of Protestants who wanted to purify the Church of England. They were led by William Bradford, who is actually someone really important that we're going to talk about. He was a really important literary figure when it came to the Puritan group. And he actually brought over a small group to America on the Mayflower in 1620. America was not what they expected at first in terms of the physical conditions and also the people that they were surrounded with. So again, pause this video for this question. Think about what you know or what you can guess about Puritan beliefs. Reflect on past knowledge. Reflect on that last slide. What does it mean that they wanted to purify the Church of England? What were certain things in the Church of England that they felt that they needed to purify? So again, pause the video, think about this for a moment, maybe write down a few things, and then you can come back to the video. Puritan beliefs. Predestination I have underlined here because that was a really big one. They believed that God already had decided on everybody's fate and everybody's life, where they would end up, what they would be doing. They didn't really think that humans had a say in what was going to happen with their life. And that they were either born a good person or they were born a bad person. There was really no changing once you were born because God had already decided. They were really hardworking people, independent. They relied on each other, but like I said, they were very independent and self-reliant people. They lived very simply. The sobriety and temperance was a big thing for them as well. Now, because they worked so hard, it did result in a good amount of material wealth, which in their belief system indicated that a person was devoted to God and that they were rewarded by from their hard work with the material wealth. And they also were considered pilgrims because they viewed their immigration from England as a spiritual journey. And they're moving from England to America as a spiritual challenge almost to them. Now, when it comes to politics for Puritans, they believed in the saintly elect or their religious leaders, and they didn't really have this idea of separation of church and state at the time. They really had faith in their religious leaders and felt like they should be the ones who are also leading them in the political scale of things as well. The church elders were most commonly the political leaders because they were viewed as the most wise and as having the most knowledge from God. Really, their whole life revolved around church and their religion. They really believed in this idea that God was the center of their life and that they had to obey him, obey the church elders, and that all other areas of their life would work out if they were committed to their Puritan beliefs. And you'll really see this reflected in their literature, how big of a deal their religion was to them. Now, they used the Bible to justify a lot of their treatment to the Native Americans, which is obviously very unfortunate. They believed that because Native Americans resisted them or met them with fear, that they were able to use force against them. Again, very different time period, and they did not have the separation of church and state, which is another thing to consider. They were all consumed by their religion and their belief in God at the time. So again, another question that I'd like you to reflect on for a moment. What do you know or what can you guess about Puritan literature? And we're actually going to pause here for the remainder of this presentation and pick up on the next presentation, specifically talking about Puritan literature and Puritan authors. But I would like you to think about this question before you go on to the next screencast and to the next presentation. Again, reflecting on your own background knowledge or things that you've heard before. What do you know or what can you guess about Puritan literature?